Hello, air signs. We're going to do a collective reading for all air signs. That's Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. There will be a pinned comment below that will have timestamps for each individual air sign. So we are going to pull a spread for all air signs, and then we will clarify that spread for each individual air sign. Let's get into it. Make sure you take a moment to subscribe to the channel. What do my air signs need to know? This is for air signs Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. All right, we have the Jack of Spades coming out. This is your strength. So my air signs, I feel like, you know how to get what you want. Sometimes you may have ulterior motives. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, right? But I see that this is a strength. You're very strategic. You know what you want, and you see unique ways that you may be able to get it. And you're not afraid to go for it. And you're going for something right now. And this is something that's meant for you. So, I feel like you may have had to find a creative way to claim what was meant for you. But I feel like you've done it. And we have the Five of Spades here. So very interesting. The Five of Spades, this is Lucy Steele, okay? And if you're familiar with your Jane Austen novels, well, Lucy Steele is quite a treacherous girl, okay? And dishonest. And this is who's showing up here, or this is what's changing in this current energy, right? So it's very interesting. This could be you realizing, that someone here that you had connected with is not trustworthy. You may have thought that you were like a kindred spirit with this person, because I feel like you're both kind of sassy. You both could be ruthless a little bit in your own way, but I do feel like, you're not quite treacherous. My Geminis might be a little mischievous. My air signs may be a little mischievous, but we're not treacherous. All right, so something here is changing. It may be different for all of my air signs. We'll figure that out when we clarify for each individual air sign. Right now, I definitely see some confusion for my air signs. Seven of Hearts. All right, you have a few different options here in front of you, and it is time to make a decision, but at the same time, you can take your time making this decision, right? I feel like it's the next thing on the to-do list. Like, you're here, you do have to get this done, but you can take your time. And, the Joker is coming out here in your external energy, and I feel like this is you, taking a step back from a situation so that you can see it clearly. Because right now you are confused with the options that are being presented to you. And part of that may be the fact that even though you have many options right now, you're still looking for another option that isn't available to you, right? So this could be where, my air signs, you could have multiple people who want to date you or connect with you, but this is about you maybe not being interested in any of those options. Advice here, Ace of Hearts. It is time to follow your heart, okay? We all have our best guides within us, if only we would listen. Air signs, I feel like you have not been listening to your intuition. No way that the Moon and the High Priestess are on the bottom of the deck. Oh, wait, and the King and Queen of Hearts right next to each other. Air signs, I have been struggling getting through this reading. And I know why, and it's because this is going to resonate so differently for all of my air signs. But there are definitely some messages that we are going to be pulling out here that are going to be pretty juicy. I can't even believe the bottom of the deck here. King and Queen of Hearts with the 8 of Hearts. So it's time, air signs. The one thing I know for all of you, it is time for you to truly follow your heart and truly listen to your intuition and honor yourself enough to make the best decision for yourself. Do not let another person influence your decisions. For all of my air signs, I do see a kind of treacherous individual here. And for some of us, I feel like this could be someone who we even aligned ourselves with at one point, but now we've seen the error of our ways, and we're realizing that this isn't someone we want to necessarily be around or to allow to influence our decisions. But again, I don't want to talk too much on this general reading. I want to dig in. So let's get into it now. This is for Gemini. All right, Gemini. Clarifying the Jack of Spades for Gemini. What does Gemini need to know? All placements of Gemini. Make sure you take a moment now, Gemini, to subscribe to the channel. Leave me a comment if this reading resonates for you. We have the Crone and the Counselor. Okay, so again, like I was saying earlier, my air signs are a little mischievous here. And for you, Gemini, I feel like, you could be a little mischievous. You're one of those people that probably, even as you grow into old age, you're always going to be the one who's joking and laughing. And that's because you understand how much people need laughter. It is the best medicine. And, you are wise. You may sometimes be able to connect with people of all walks of life and connect with, people who express themselves in all different ways. But you definitely know who you are. I just see that you have these skills to be able to talk to anybody. So, people may see you sometimes as a bit surface level, but you're definitely not, and you are someone who really wants to be understood, so you always try to show up and understand other people here. All right, so really beautiful. Your strength here is that, through everything that you've been through, you've kind of gained a lot of wisdom, but you don't feel the need to flaunt your knowledge around all the time. You more or less wait for the moments where someone needs it, and then you're there for them. So really beautiful energy. I feel like you really know when to show up. You're very wise. You know when to share what. But it's all comes from a place of love, right? Like, I feel like I'm thinking of this advice my mom gave me once, like when I was a teenager, somebody called my friend a derogatory word, and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to call her and tell her right now. And my mom said, why? Do you think you're going to make her feel good when you tell her that? And, all I'm thinking is I have to be loyal to my friend and tell her this person said that. And it's like, I'd never really thought about it that way. But I feel like that's where you're at, Gemini. Like, you're kind of like, I don't need to share everything that I know, but I know what I know, and I'll share what I feel called to share in the moment, what I think is going to help. All right, what you're moving through right now is really claiming your abundance, claiming your place in a certain situation. Some of my Geminis are getting a promotion. Some of my Geminis here are communicating with a new partner. This could be someone who is, financially in a pretty good situation, someone who will be generous for you, take care of you, protect you. All right, so, but for some of you, this is you being that person for yourself. This is you making the moves. This is you making the money, and this is you stepping into a higher position. All right, we have the Scribe here with the 5 of Spades. So I do feel like what is changing right now is that You know, they say hindsight is 20/20, and now that you've experienced a situation here with another person, you're seeing it for what it really is, and you know, you're keeping record of that, right? So I definitely feel like you might not be approaching a situation with someone. You may choose to not call someone out because you're too busy focused on things that are going to bring value to your life, not things that are going to bring drama into your life. But you're definitely keeping record of something, right? Of someone's behavior, the way someone approached you, something that someone did, like you kept record of it. You may not be calling them out in this moment, but you know what they did. All right, 7 of Hearts. We have the Queen of Earth. All right, Gemini. Clarifying the 7 of Hearts with the Queen of Earth, and we also had the King of Earth, if you remember. So, for some of you that resonated that you are connecting with someone right now, and you could be having a lot of messages going back and forth, I really feel like, you know, you could have a lot of confusion right now, even though you know what is best for you. So I feel like the confusion more has to do around conflict or another person. For some of you, maybe, you know, you're getting out of a relationship and, you know, you've met somebody right after you got out of a relationship, so it may feel like it's just too soon to move on or too soon to tell people, or it could be a situation like that where you know something's right, you know that you connect with another person here so well, but you're just not sure how to, you know, roll it out, how to, you know, allow this to be all that it could be. And then we had the Sensual trying to jump out. So I feel for a lot of you, you know, the reason why you're having this confusion and this struggle is because you're trying to please other people. You're trying to be loyal to other people before being loyal to yourself. But that isn't going to work for you because you're the Queen of Earth, and the Queen of Earth is, you know, loyal to herself and her mission. And the Sensual here is loyal to another and loyal to their mission. This could be someone coming in that's very loyal to you. This could be a loyal friend. Interesting. For some of you Geminis, you know, you got out of a very treacherous situation, which is opening up the door for new, more loyal, more beneficial connections to come in for you. So we love to see that. Why is the Ace of Hearts here? Okay, 3 cards coming out. The 6 of Air. And I love this 6 of Air. I mean, this is someone who is using the mind in a really healthy way and actually, you know, finding solutions instead of problems. So that is your advice, is to find solutions instead of problems. Approach a situation with this, you know, innocent spirit of a child. Do not be afraid to be generous in a situation. Don't be afraid, Gemini, to open up your heart and be generous. Just because you have, you know, been in treacherous situations in the past, you've learned from those situations, and those energies that you've had to navigate, that's in what is changing. So I feel like, you know, you are changing the way you think. And, you know, sometimes when something treacherous happens, and it can change our mind in a good way, but also in a bad way, right? Because if it creates fear, you know, we want to be wise so that we don't repeat mistakes over and over again, but we do not want to let our mind start creating fear. So I feel like that's what's changing, is you're releasing this fear and you're finding solutions instead of problems. Okay, over this reading, Gemini, we have soulmate relationship. All right, New romance with a spiritual basis is here for you now. I can't make this up. A soulmate relationship, King and Queen of Cups. All right, and you know, we have our best guides within us. If only we would listen. You know what this is, Gemini. So keep going, keep moving forward, keep finding solutions, and you know, step by step, you're gonna get to right where you want to be. All right, Gemini, I absolutely loved that reading. If you loved that reading, leave me a comment. All right, and check out the link in my description box, and let's go ahead now and get into it for Libra. This one is for Libra. What does Libra need to know for Libra? Libra, we have healing coming out with the Jack of Spades. So this is you healing yourself and others in very unique ways, okay? I kind of love this because I feel like, you know, you are someone, Libra, who can kind of like, you know, you can give advice to the person who hates advice, right? Because you have a charming way of delivering advice and, you know, just getting the message across without shaming or accusing. You know, I feel like you have a very healing energy, but also, you know, you're very smart. You're incredibly smart, and you really like understand other people, right? You are the scales, you are Libra, you are all about that balance, and I feel like, you know, you are able to come in contact with someone and, you know, almost just on an energetic level, like balance out with them, and your presence is incredibly healing because of this. You open up doors to healing for people that they were not able to open on their own, and that other people were not able to show them. Okay, Ace of Earth is coming out, clarifying the 8 of Clubs. Right now, you could feel like it's kind of, things are kind of at a pause, because they are. And this pause is a beautiful pause. It's a pause for you to really celebrate how far you've come, everything that you've done. I want you, Libra, to please, if you could, just get a piece of paper and a pen and write down everything that has changed. Like, really think about where you were 8 months ago and think of everything that has changed and all that you've accomplished, and take a moment to just value yourself and acknowledge how freaking wonderful you are, because you are a truly wonderful soul here, Libra, and it is time for you to take advantage of your potential, to express your full potential, to really show up. I see that you are doing this, and you know, it's a beautiful thing, and you are going to reach the finish line of whatever you've been working on. But a big part of it, and a very important part of it, is you do need to make this list. Whether you write it down, I recommend that, or make it mentally, but take that moment to congratulate yourself for everything that has changed in your life, that you changed, right? We have the Queen of Fire. It's really important for you to be able to show up confident, all right? You know, there are situations that you've had to deal with people who are determined to misunderstand you, with people who honestly are jealous. They are jealous of how you show up. They are jealous of your authenticity, but you can't stop being authentic just because people are jealous. And that is what's changing. What is changing is that you're showing up in front of people who criticize you, and you're still being confident in the presence of those energies. All right, and that is a truly, truly beautiful thing, Libra. And through that, you know, you're just an example to those people and to anyone else observing the situation. You're an example of, you know, how good it feels to be in your authentic energy, living in integrity, being confident in who you are, because who you are is a good person. All right, internal energy, we have perception and the 3 of Fire. So, I do feel like, Libra, it is important for you to acknowledge that you don't know everything, even though you're incredibly smart. I do feel like there's been a situation that's really been hard for you to grasp because you have one perception of a situation, but yet your heart is pulled in many different directions. And I feel like, when we're dealing with cups, a lot of times we're dealing with memories. So, if our perception of our current reality is based on cups, that could be memories or generational stuff. So we want to make sure that we're not like taking on the beliefs and values of our family members who came before us. We can do that if it's authentic to us, but this is us taking a time to ground in the moment and really think like, okay, what is my path forward? What are my values? What does something really mean to me? Okay? Because your world is changing, Libra, and you want to make sure it's changing in the best possible direction, and that's why you've been on this healing journey. I feel like some of you have been on this healing journey for like 11 years, right? And you're still healing, and it may be time to take a little break from healing, Libra, because you can't just be on a 24/7 healing bender. Okay, we do need to take a break from healing too much healing. You're strong because of all the work you've put in, so it's worked out for you so far, but now you may want to take a moment to integrate, right? We got body mind coming out. We need a balance here. So maybe for a lot of you, you've been healing your body, going to the gym, feeling good in your body, and now it's time to work on that body mind connection, feeling good in your mind. For some of you, it could be the opposite. You've been healing your mind, and now it's time to really go move your body in a way that feels good to you, right? Whether you just go out and dance and shake your booty a little, or take a yoga class, or do some 5-minute living room yoga, whatever it is, it's about getting out of your mind and into your body. And this helps with your perception, right? Because I do feel like your perception is something that it gets in the way sometimes. You could be a really emotional person, Cancer. You could have a lot of water in your chart, or I said Cancer. Some of you have Cancer in your chart. Okay, Libra, but you could have a lot of water in your chart, and your emotions could sometimes skew your perception. Your advice is the Ace of Hearts clarified with the 10 of Earth. This is really beautiful, Libra. It really doesn't get more beautiful than this. The Ace of Hearts, this is love. This is pure love energy, pure potential. And then the 10 of Earth is you showing up, embodying the fullness of who you are, right? You're luscious, you're dripping, you're looking beautiful, and you're open here to receive. You're open to receive love. What is love is finding you, right? And I feel like you're not open to anything that is not love. And so that is your advice, and that's going to help clear up this clarity, clear up this confusion as well, right? If you're confused about which way to go, you just need to really follow your heart and just ask yourself where the love is, right? What is the most, don't try to logic your way out of a situation. Follow your heart. Your heart is going to lead you out of a situation. Don't be devil's advocate. Don't be sassy just to be sassy. It's not the time for that. You are charming. You're cute. You're sassy. You can be sassy if you want, Libra, but I do feel like now isn't the time for that. Now is the time to be really intentional with your words and with your thoughts. And this isn't about you saying anything. It's about you following your heart. It's about you feeling, right? So it's not about you taking a bold stance or, even declaring anything or, letting anybody know what your next move is going to be. It's just about you knowing that you get to make the next move and you get to make that move from your heart. And now we're going to clarify this King and Queen of Cups for you, Libra, and see about this King and Queen of Hearts. What is this for Libra? The Maiden. So I feel like, Libra, this is you really, you could be starting a new relationship and you could be feeling really good in this. And if you're not starting a new relationship, then this is you taking that first step to meeting a new person, right? This is you saying, you know what, I'm going to go to, this place and I'm going to go there 5 times. And within one of those 5 times, I'm going to meet somebody, right? And maybe that's like too elaborate for this reading, but it's like, you're finding your own path. This is just about you being hopeful and knowing that the path ahead leads you to exactly what you want. And, you will know what you want when you have it in front of you. So if you're confused right now and you're like, I don't know what I want, I have these options, but I don't know what I want. Well, then it's none of those options, because when it's in front of you, you are going to know what you want, Libra. All right. Really beautiful messages coming out for you, Libra. I want to get you a couple of oracle cards here as well, but I love everything that we are seeing coming up today for my Libras. Checking in with the Airmail deck by Sarah Stassi. We have Take Notes. And for some of my Libras, you really are looking for love. You're interested in love. You could have a couple options, like I'm saying, in love right now. But I think the most important thing with this Take Notes card is that you are writing love letters. Write love letters to your potential future partner. Write love letters to yourself. But take notes. Take note of your progress, of everything that you've achieved. And last card for Libra, we have Blessed Change. A major life change brings you great blessings. All right, Libra, that is what I have for you. Subscribe if you haven't, and check out the description box. I do offer one-on-one sessions. Let's go ahead now and get into it for Aquarius. All right, Aquarius, let's see what you need to know. Clarifying these cards for my beautiful Aquarians. All right, your strength here is the Jack of Spades. You know what you're doing, and we're clarifying it with the Maiden. Wow, I feel like my Aquarius here are powerful manifestors. You really know how to get what you want, because you do have this free-spirited energy, but also this little bit of mischievous sassiness. So, I do feel like you have a youthful energy, but you're also really funny, really intelligent. And, all these things help you get what you want and get who you want. Because I see that there are roses and a rabbit on this card. So I'm feeling like, you may know how to get what you want. I feel like you don't have any problem flirting or hitting on people. I'm not seeing you being real intimidated by your performance in the bedroom. So, I feel like you're pretty confident in that. You're kind of like, okay, I know. All right, so we love it, Aquarius. That's so good for you. What we are moving through right now is the 8 of Clubs clarified by the 9 of Fire. So you are holding this rose for somebody. You're lit up in the sacral for somebody here. I mean, this is some wild energy, but the 9 of Fire is also someone who, you know, has been wounded, right? They're resilient. They still hold this heart, this rose, this love, because of how resilient they are, right? They know and they understand, but it doesn't mean that things don't hurt them. And this is you. So somebody here that you were connecting with, that you maybe still are connecting with in this certain moment, but it will be changing. What is changing here is this energy of treachery. And for some of you, this could be you, right? And I'm not saying you're treacherous, but we all, you know, I don't think anybody can say that they've never acted out of character or, you know, done something that they regretted, said something they regretted. So for some of you, this could be you, you know, but something's changing here. So this is either you acknowledging that, you know, something, the way something went down wasn't right, or this is you, you know, acknowledging it in another person and maybe choosing to no longer get advice from that person or engage with that person. For some of you, it's your mother. Or for some of you, you like, this is going to depend on your relationship with your mother. If you have a relationship with your mother, or this could be just a motherly, maternal figure in your life. For some of you, if you're struggling with a situation and your mother is someone who you think is a good intuitive, who typically gives you pretty good advice, you may want to run the situation by your mother. But if your mother is someone who, you know, isn't really reliable, right? Like, she may be the greatest mother on earth, right? But like, you know, sometimes there's moms that aren't that reliable to get advice from, because like maybe they'll just always take your side. So, you know, like that could be one scenario where you may not be able to trust your mother's advice, because if someone, you know, if there's even a perceived slight at you, then that person's just no good in your mother's eyes, because that's your mom, right? Definitely something going on here with the mother that is changing, or the mother can help with this change. All right. Really interesting. I feel like, Aquarius, you've been struggling to communicate to somebody. All right. And I can't show you this card because this girl is naked and YouTube don't like that. But she is a hot, naked woman. This is someone who is really in their integrity. So I do feel like you may have connected with someone here, Aquarius, who, you know, was very vulnerable with you. Someone who, you know, was very open with you, and you know, you and this person may have been through similar things, had similar experiences, had similar ways of looking at the world, you know. So I do feel like for some of you, I could be reading for a little bit of an older group of Aquarians here, like, you know, people who have, you know, been adults for a few years at least, long enough to go through some stuff, long enough to move through some treachery and come out the other side. And I definitely feel like when you met someone here, Aquarius, you definitely felt this nurturing energy. All right, but I want to pull one more card here, because the Five of Swords and the Mother are just such conflicting energies, right? Someone here could be nurturing you for their own benefits, you know what I mean? So it's like they do these like maternal loving things for you, but they have ulterior motives. Some of you do need to really ground in this moment and really think about where you see yourself in the future. all right, and who you see yourself with. Because for some of you, I feel like you may be even lying to yourself right now in order to like stay in a situation or keep giving to a situation, but it's inevitably changing. It's coming up in what is changing right now. So you're choosing to no longer stay in a situation or, you know, some of you are choosing to no longer get advice from a certain maternal figure, and instead, you know, you're listening to your own advice. You're following your own heart here. All right, yeah, you're going through a complete rebirth. Really interesting that that comes out clarifying the Seven of Cups. I feel like, you know, I don't like to say it like this, Aquarius, but you're just going to have to take it with a grain of salt if this is offensive to you. I try to never say anything offensive, but this may not resonate. It's a general reading, all right? And I'm certainly not here saying you're a terrible... I think you're wonderful. I love you, Aquarius, but what I'm feeling in this reading is that, you know, what's changing is that you could have been in a little bit of a manipulative energy, and you were in this energy because you were trying to keep yourself safe, because you were confused about what was going on around you. You had these treacherous situations that you had to navigate, and, you know, through all that, you may have been a little bit manipulative. Like, you may have done something to get a reaction out of somebody, or done something, you know, to make something else happen, and kind of what you did was create a situation of confusion. And in this moment, that's changing. You know, you're clearing up the confusion. The Joker coming out here, external energy. All right, with self. Okay, so I love that. So I do feel like, Aquarius, you know, this is about you connecting with yourself and making big changes, okay? This is big, bold changes here with the Joker. And the self, this is a tough choice that you have to make, and it's a choice where you really have to go within. It is a very tough decision that you are having to make. And it's also a decision where you're kind of moving out of what is comfortable and what is known into what is totally unknown. Like, you do not know how something is going to work out, but you know that you need to honor yourself and move toward whatever this is. All right, advice, Ace of Hearts, being clarified with the King of Fire. I love it. You could have fire in your chart here, but we also have the King of Water and the Three of Air. So, Aquarius, I feel like this is you and another person. Y'all are very similar, but yet very different. This is a very steamy connection. We got two kings coming out. There's no gender associated with the cards, but it could be same sex. This is someone who you have not been able to get off your mind. And I feel like you could be like looking somebody up online on social media. And it's interesting because I'm seeing that you want to know more about this person, but you are not talking to the person directly. You know, like, it's like you're researching about them, you're reading up on them. But I feel like it's time for you to actually really open your heart to this new situation, this new potential, because, you know, again, we had this divine pair, King of Hearts, Queen of Hearts, on the bottom of the deck. And we all have our best guides within us. So, you know, I definitely feel, Aquarius, like, you know what's right for you. You know what's heaven sent. So don't, if you're getting a vibe, don't stick in a situation where there's like a vibe that you don't trust, right? And this is a general reading, so please don't go making major life decisions in your life based on a tarot, a general collective tarot reading. I do offer one-on-one sessions. There's a link in the description box. But this is love. This is love, love, true love, baby. Love, love. We love love here. We are the lovers and we love love, but there is something that needs to be worked out here. Whatever the situation was, there's a counselor here. 5 of Earth. So, this is all about working through our insecurities, this person working through their insecurities. There was definitely a misunderstanding between you and another person here. And, but it can be worked out. It can be worked out if we communicate, if we open our heart, if we embrace the potential. But that's the thing about potential. If you do nothing about it, then nothing is going to come of it, right? So right now there is potential for you and another person, but right now I feel like you have more questions than answers, and it is going to require that leap of faith, that trusting in what you feel, and trusting that, trusting where your heart is leading you, and also trusting that even if your heart will never lead you astray, but even, say you end up astray somehow, your heart will lead you out of that situation, right? Like, even if you stop listening to your heart and you get lost along the way, you can always check back in and let your heart lead you again. So I hope that made sense. I am getting a little tired here, Aquarius. I need to log off here and go make me some little late night tater crowns and go to bed. All right, we have check reserves. So there could be some untapped resources, unchecked messages, right? If you've been waiting to hear from somebody, maybe you think someone hasn't reached out to you, but maybe you just didn't even check like your messages on one of your social medias, and you could have a message waiting from someone. So this, I feel like this is definitely kind of like, you just checking, check reserves. There's money on the card, but it doesn't feel like money to me. So it could be just like checking your resources. And, but I'm feeling online, I'm seeing it like messages. So there could be someone who's been trying to get in contact with you. And it may just be time to check in with someone, see where they're at, see how they're feeling. Yeah, because there's a soulmate relationship here, Aquarius. And this is new romance with a spiritual basis that is here for you now. So you got to be really honest with yourself, because I do feel like for my Aquarius, right now you have multiple options. And, you're aware of some of them. You're not aware of all of them, but I feel like there's one in particular you are aware of, and you know that this is the right one. You and this person, like I said, you're very similar but very different. But there is a divine pair that showed up on the bottom of the deck. So really powerful relationship here, Aquarius. And if this is your reading, then you know who it is that you feel that way about. So bust a move. And until we meet again, I love you. Take care.